Get into that. Sorry, Vince and Dust are going to take it away. We've got map 3 of the second series between forZe and CR4ZY. The decider will come up right now. Enjoy.
Indeed. Thank you so much for passing it back to us here on Mirage, as we are well underway in the pistol round at the moment. The bomb is going to be planted inside the B site here by CR4ZY. They will be on a 4-on-2 situation and make that just Jerry now left for forZe, as he doesn't really have any hope in the world of winning this round now, Vince. Who I think is here. I hope is here.
Looking pretty bleak, isn't it, Dust? It's looking pretty grim. Jerry...
Almost as grim as us trying to talk for 5 seconds with our mics muted in Discord, because we're both dumb.
We are
both unintelligent human beings that did not unmute our mics. We were going. We were talking. We promise.
Is Jerry, who's just picked up the clutch on forZe? Or perhaps not actually, the bomb's ticked down way too far. Oh, it was so close.
It's kind of empty.
Oh... You hate to see it.
Oh, man. That was while he got all the kills, though. That is going to make things a little bit more costly, which doesn't matter as much in the very beginning of the game, but it's still nice for him to get those extra kills, give him some extra money. And, yeah, I mean, when you come to Mirage, again, I feel like this is forZe's #2 map after Inferno as far as LAN goes. When it comes to online play, it's also usually a pretty good map for them, but they actually did lose it the last 3 out of 4 times they've played it. And some of their losses were to teams that you wouldn't expect them to lose to. So I'm not sure if their Mirage is softening up a little bit, or if it was just kind of fluky stuff that happened to them in some of these online cups lately. But certainly you would expect forZe to, you know, be the heavy favorite once again, as they have been all series long, coming into this map.
Just take it away, Dust. My game just crashed, which is great.
Cool.
So I'm reloading.
Oh, okay, that's fine. CR4ZY CR4ZY again getting a plant into that B bomb site. Again, they are mopping things up, as forZe did invest very little into that, to be honest. They were very conservative with their money, and they're going to be able to now, because of that, full buy in round number 3. They're going to have an AWP for Z-Power. They're going to have M4s across the board for pretty much everybody else. And they are going to have okay utility, and they do have at least 1 kit in play on Z-Power. And so this is going to be them putting up a big defense right away. And it seems like we're seeing CR4ZY going for a maybe faster A play. It looked like they were setting up a lot of members inside Ramp and Palace early on. They have 1 player drifting at middle. Bomb is now also coming towards A ramp, so it's definitely going to be an A set piece of sorts, Vince. Not sure if you're back just yet, but smoke is going to be down towards jungle, and we are going to see the T starting to press into the A site.
Pushing on to A, indeed. The first kill, though, will be Face Crack, dealing the finalizing shot with the M4A when SG is from the backside of Connector, though. Is going to put his AK to use, and now the bomb getting planted down from Toxic. We'll be trying to rummage together a potential retake for us, but I don't really see it coming up here, to be honest with you. There's a smoke down in Connector. They're pretty much isolated and stagnated away from the site. They're going to need to get a move on if they're going to pull this one off, and judging by the fact that Flit's now gone to top of middle, I don't think it's coming in. I think they're saving. CR4ZY going to take another 3-0 lead.
Yeah, their entries are just too good there. And with forZe having, you know, taken the save in the second round and fully bought in the third, they definitely want to roll over all these guns to the next round. Not going to be able to really support them too much, upgraded pistols at best, but definitely still a lot of firepower to carry over. Not really wanting to go for the retake when you don't have that much utility to go for it, and you're down a man. Definitely understandable that they would fall back and take the save here. So it is going to put it, like you said, to, again, CR4ZY having a 3-0 start. So definitely a great way to kick things off if you're CR4ZY here on Mirage. Again, especially as the underdog team. They actually are able to get a couple of M4s out in play for forZe. They still do have a full buy. And they have more kits than even the previous round.
Waiting at the bottom of middle side. Jerry's already pushed up pretty aggressively with his smokes now firing across towards the B side. And CR4ZY making moves outside of middle. 1-for-1 trade, not too bad for CR4ZY. They can pull back now off the back of that one. Oh, it's like up in the smoke. I thought Toxic was going to pierce through it, but instead Z-Power stands his ground with the AWP, switches positions, and nullifies them QQ, giving forZe the 2-player advantage. And you'd assume from here they can capitalize, especially as the shoulder is peeking around the corner from Psycho, who's going to try and push behind that. There's one kill. Shimming is positioned across now to jungle, but the aggression from Flip's going to yield the one frag and a second and deny the bomb plant. So Crazy can't build the economy.
Really good job there from forZe to recover after the 0-3 start. Just great work from Z-Power at the op, like you said, being able to deal with that somewhat of a one-way smoke that was going on in B apartments and also catching that first jungle player as well. So he's getting the op out and early and making it effective. Still able to buy, though, is Crazy thanks to the 3-0 start, though it is a little bit limited. Dim QQ only on the Deagle. Also do not have that much utility to put to use either. So we're going to have to really be more reliant on just aim duels. There's aggression at middle as well from forZe, particularly Jerry, hiding in the smoke.
Flip peeks out onto short. Not going to get the kill, but Z-Power is laying down the pain and the havoc with the AWP. I know Dem QQ 1 versus 5 stuck back in the palace area. Bomb not really dropped for him either. He's going to have to rummage together a masterful play if he's going to pick this one off. And it looks like, again, not for the first time. Crazy get the pistol, they get the subsequent 2 rounds, and then forZe stabilize their economy, stabilize their players and their positions. And things start to get a little bit dicey for Crazy. A lot of people would have wrote them off in this best of 3, and yet here we are on the 3rd map. People have wrote them off on Mirage. Maybe they can prove the naysayers wrong one more time.
Pretty dominant round from forZe all in all there. Really just off the back of aggression, right? Jerry did a great job hiding inside that smoke. There's always a chance he could have gotten spam while inside of it, and that could have been a problem, but he was able to kind of weather that storm out. And then once the smoke was fading, he got a perfect pop flash from a teammate to allow him to push top middle and grab a kill. And he had the op for cover as well from window to be able to assist him in that mid aggression. So just one of the very many setups forZe can run on the CT side of Mirage. I mean, whether that be Z-Power being very mobile with AWP, kind of changing his starting locations up, like if he wants to go for an aggressive B apartments or Palace Peak, or again, these different rifle setups at middle that you'll see them use at times. It's going to keep Crazy guessing. And while Crazy have had some decent online results as far as like numbers go on Mirage, I think they have like a 3-1 record, the quality of opponent has not been nearly as strong as what they're facing now. And so this is really going to test them on how up to snuff they really are on this map.
Quite the step up indeed. I have to see if they can pass it with flying colors or if they are just going to go out with a bit of a whimper here. Like a Molotov tossed in for Almeza. Grenade behind it. Dem QQ's taken so much damage. That grenade could finish him off. Somehow survives. Just takes 5 extra health from him. And he's in a fairly forward position with his AWP. So if they're not careful, he could maybe get a pick from this. I suppose in these kind of rounds, you have to take the gambles, you have to take the risks, but it hasn't paid off. Nothing forthcoming for Crazy. They're just going to turn tail and back out of there, relocate together towards the top of middle instead, and try and use them QQ's AWP in the emerging fights. I'm a bit curious why he wouldn't drop it to Sensei now. I mean, I know he has the Kevlar, but he's down to 14, so whatever happens, he's going to die if he gets hit.
Yeah. I am a little bit curious about that now as well. It seems like they should pass it to him by at this point because of the low health. Balton's Law I don't think really applies in a situation like this, but whatever. As they got completely stuffed by utility at B apartment, so they decided to just skate doodle over to the A side of the map where FaceCrack is watching Palace, and he's got his teammate Z-Power with the op over towards Ticket. They have no way to block him off either, so he might have free reign to repeat, but instead he actually kind of fades off. Meanwhile, FaceCrack's hearing all of this right now. He's just going to be able to tear them apart from above. Drops down the ladder for another as well. That's 3 in total. Should be finding a 4th any moment. Indeed, he does. And he can also grab an op if they so choose to have a double op setup into the next round, which indeed they do elect to do. It's going to be tied up now, 3 apiece. So kind of a similar story to what we've seen a couple of different times where, yeah, maybe Crazy to get the hot start, but once forZe get their money back about them, they're able to establish themselves. And especially with this being another really strong map for forZe, I expect to see a lot more rounds coming out of them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that assessment. I think It's looking a little bit bleak for Crazy until they prove otherwise. It's going to be a fast hit. Almaze has seen that before the flashes, took his vision away, still flicks across the Toxic's head and puts him down and neutralizes the initial push. All the sting of that aggression has been well and truly taken away. And now the bomb dropped alongside it. CSGO trying to rummage over it together, but it's all over the corpses of his teammates, and he can't really hope to do too much from this. So after a 3-0 start, now looking at 4 rounds back-to-back, and CSGO will finish off the weakened Almaza. They are going to retain both AWPs, of course, no problems. So now FaceCrack is going to be flanking from the back. And CSGO living on borrowed time is a goner. At least FaceCrack had the decency of not pulling the knife out, but forZe still will be leading in our 3rd decisive map.
And Crazy not going to have a whole lot to say about it in this next round either. It's just going to be basically a deco. And that's going to be about it, Vince. So it does just feel like the Forest train's going to continue to roll on.
Aggression again up middle. FaceCrack leading the charge, has Z Power to watch over him, provide overwatch from middle. Easy pickings for Z Power now that he's traded off positions to peer down ramp, and Flit is still watching mid. It's systematic, it's clean, it's clinical, and it will be forZe 5-3 in the lead, barring some Deagle shenanigans from Toxic and Psycho. And Psycho picks up the Deag, makes it work, does get tagged, but still alive and still landing those 1 Deags. So maybe there's a few more obstacles that forZe have to navigate their way through. Maybe they're anticipating a comfortable round, and now they've been kept a little bit more honest. This is going to hurt their economy long term if they lose another player as well.
Absolutely, and now Mazer has to worry about middle, and he has to worry about B apartments. A lot to be responsible for, not really knowing where they're going to be coming from. Toxic will be smoking out over towards A and bringing the bomb with him in that direction. They're going to try to just split up and try to have Cycle maybe throw a bit of a fake towards B and then let the bomb come out late A. It's a good idea in theory, but I think unfortunately for them in practice, this round's not really going to work out so well. Unless Psycho can somehow get this kill, and then he does. Now all of a sudden things change a bit as this Toxic's going to catch Z Power in the back. It's all on Jerry now. And he doesn't even know which direction the bomb is.
Now he knows. Now he's seen it. 9 seconds. That's the round done. Such a nice try from Crazy. To come through in that round with basically Deagles and come out of it with 4 kills and saving an M4, an incendiary, actually an AWP, pardon me. So an even better turn of events for Crazy. Yeah, they're still trailing. They're still 5-3 behind, but that is going to put forZe on the back.
It's definitely a nice try, no doubt about it. Great Deagle work there from Psycho, some good individual effort. That's the thing, we've seen good individual skill from several different players from Crazy throughout this series. Since Ace Op at times has been fantastic. You know, Psycho and Toxic and DimQQ, I feel like at different moments in time, each shown mechanical ability. It's just about, you know, fine-tuning the strategy and the decision-making and dealing with the pressure of comebacks and, you know, all that goes with it. So we do see them again setting up for the base set piece, Vince.
Plays coming to fruition. FaceCrack perched up on the stairs. There's 2, nearly transitions into a 3rd, but Z Power has his back covered, albeit he is still going to lose his life, but forZe keeping the player advantage. A flick from Sensei deals with the imminent threat of Flit, who is perched up on the boxes. So one of the 2 AWPs has been suppressed momentarily. Almaza may pick it back up again. We know he can use the AWP if needed. But it's all about where the T's have now made moves into. The timing, not in favor for CSGO, just as Z Power changes his avenue of aggression. His angle is good enough to flick across. And our Sensei, with 45 seconds to spare, is moving on and just checking all of his angles, being diligent with each of these possible threats. But there's always going to be one that probably goes uncontested or unchecked, and he decides that maybe the best way of dealing with this is to divide and conquer, to push right through the heart of the map, get round the back of Kitchen, and try and make it work for him. And so far, that would be the consistent and the very well time play. I mean, he's actually got through with this so far. Maybe he's going to get caught in transition, but the upshot goes awry, and now he can maybe force this bomb down. If the bomb gets planted, Sensei has every opportunity to actually pull this round off. Molotov into the kitchen. They're both going to be coming from the same angle. Flashbang is good, but Sensei can still hold his angle. Hasn't heard anything. Comes back out again. Lands the shot. And now it's all down to the 1v1, and Sensei connects the headshot. Crazy clutch the round. Such a sick play.
Oh my goodness, man. I thought there was going to be a timing where he was going to get spotted when he went into market. I think he might have. I think the ticket booth player who was coming through CT spawn actually did see that he was headed towards the B bomb site. And so I thought with him kind of being pinched, he would be in some trouble. But then they wound up both coming from market instead of splitting up on him. And he just lines up the 1v1s. I mean, brilliant work from Sensei in a round that they definitely should not be winning. He's able to pull it off. And that's going to get this game into a close margin. Jerry and company looking to fight back early here with some aggression. They do get control of Palace, and they do get the pick, but there's also a mid-kill from CR4ZY in response, and they know that there's a flanking potential here through T-spawn, but Jerry, as we know, has actually backed off into the A site again. And so after kind of a quick skirmish on mid and A, we kind of stabilize in a 4-on-4, and things kind of wind down just a bit, at least for now, but we do see CR4ZY gearing up for what seems to be a very heavy A hit, with a lot of them coming from Palace, which is very interesting. You don't see that a lot on full gun rounds.
Still in awe that Sensei was able to actually clutch that. He's been flirting and definitely threatening these plays in bygone rounds. I'm thinking of the Inferno round in particular, but now he's finally on and pulled the trigger. Z-Power, though, very much the same, living by the AWP and suppressing the oncoming T's. Damage being inflicted. The flick across from Psycho is good. Dealing with Jerry. Should have fought a bomb plant. They're not too sure about CT control coming through, but FaceCrack gets caught in that on the open of jungle. And now the player advantage going in favor of CR4ZY. They're going to be going for the plant off the back of this. That smoking connector affords Psycho the luxury of getting that plant down safely. Almazer perched up on the CT boxes. It's looking like it could be CR4ZY for one more round. And Z-Power, last man standing with a measly 3 HP to his name, can't really afford to stand and fight. He has to back away. He has to save. And whereas one point, when forZe win 5 rounds in a row, their economy was booming. Now it's in the dumps.
Yeah, between the Sensei clutch in this round, the money has really gone by the wayside. Great entry work there from Psycho. Again, you don't really see those heavy Palace pushes on gun rounds too often. It's usually more of an eco strat. But they were able to kind of catch forZe off guard with it. And again, you got to tip your hat to Psycho, who has been an absolute terror in this map. The 9 rounds that have been played, he's at 12 kills, or 10 rounds played, 12 kills, excuse me. So he's definitely been putting in the kills. Also has 131 ADR. So he's been far and away the best player on his team. And if anyone else can get going alongside him, they can definitely pose a real threat to forZe on this map now, it feels. Especially with the economy the way that it is.
Let's see if CR4ZY can continue to apply the pressure to the throat of forZe, or if they're going to relent. Because forZe the kind of team that can punish you if you take your eyes off the ball. Z-Power still with the AWP, really their only hope of any firepower in this. He's gone aggressively into ramp, and he may get the rewards, but the timing's off. And DemQQ deals with him. A good flick from Jerry into the head of DemQQ while under heavy duress. And now Psycho goes through. The timing's good. He did catch Jerry. It's a freebie and a 2v4. Now it's the 2 USPs remaining, and surely CR4ZY are about to take the lead for the first time since they were 3-0 after the pistol.
Yeah, they caught such a crazy timing there. There was actually going to be a player up close on the door of Palace that could have maybe been a real problem, but just as it could have been, he stepped away, and that allowed CR4ZY passage onto the A-bomb site. And now Almazer and forZe split is just looking to save these 2 weapons over here towards the B-bomb site, which they should be able to do. There is some chase being given, though, by CR4ZY, despite the fact they don't have that much money.
Molly's being tossed into the B-apps. It's a sweep coming through the CT side. And they're trying to lock down these weapons if possible. Almeza holding onto his AK, and Flip very nearly gets his life taken out, but does survive just about. Crazy. Do you take the 6-5 lead, though?
Yep, that's the last 3 in a row going the way of Crazy, and they've done so in a diverse way. You know, the different ways that they've won rounds. They've had, crazy individual plays. They've had, standard stuff. They've had like kind of a wacky palace push on a gun round. It's kind of been all over the place really from Crazy, so definitely showing that they're dynamic. And now it's going to be a fast B play. So they've shown us really every single card that you could have in your hand, and they just have full control of the site the bomb goes down.
Not really a round that forZe can justifiably go for either, or really stand and fight. They have to just back out. And Crazy already 7 rounds here on Mirage on their T side. This is getting a little bit scary now for forZe. I mean, this is a map statistically, as you highlighted, that forZe typically in terms of lands, and obviously it's been a while since we've had active lands really kicking off, but this is one of their go-to maps.
No, absolutely. And even online, it's usually been a pretty good map for them. When you look at like the CIS Cup from the Blast Premier qualifiers or some of these Home Sweet Home Cup matches, they've usually been able to do well here. Like I said, they have lost a couple of times here recently, though, including like an upset loss to Smash and Endpoint. Although the Endpoint match was very, very close. So they've had a couple of, I guess, dropping of the ball, I guess you could say, of Mirage online here in recent times. But still, overall, a map that they're usually very comfortable on. And again, they're just such a heavy favorite compared to Crazy on no matter what the map is, you'd have to imagine. So for us to see Crazy not only upset them in map 1, but now also be looking at great control of map 3 is pretty crazy stuff. No pun intended.
Really nice smoke there on the outsides of the B app, suggesting that they could be trying to take some B control. Actually forces away some Molotovs early on, and now Almeza is going to push behind. So B app's control established. Another Molotov, or smoke, pardon me, going to be used. It's a one-way at that. Jumps up, peering through there. This is some really cheeky plays, and Almeza's going to get the better of Toxic. You had no idea.
Yeah, that is not a one-way that you see too often. I can't even remember seeing it another time. It's such a niche one-way that you would rarely get the opportunity to use. Certainly does work out for him, though. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't last so long. Cycle will get the trade back and get it into a 4-on-4. There is still 2 players towards B, though, as there was a push from Jerry into Palace, which gave them a little bit more flexibility to rotate towards this B side of the map. Definitely seems like it's going to be a B hit. I'm not sure if there's going to be a fake thrown by DimQQ, though, at the A site to try to hold people in place to make it a little bit more powerful. Indeed, he is mauling out Sandwich and flashing jungle, so definitely trying to do his best to create pressure here on the A side. But again, we can see it's going to be that B hit, and it's caused a rotation. It's done its job.
Z-Power, though, is perched in kitchen and still able to be deadly from that angle. Psycho through. There is a barrel of the gun sticking through. He knows that Z-Power is still in close proximity. There's only 8 seconds left. He's going to tickle the bomb, try and draw the CTs out into the open. He misses his chance. The bomb's got down. That's going to be the round going with it. DimQQ completely out of position. Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be seen. And forZe will take it, but very, very close.
Indeed it was. It was a good fake by DimQQ, but like you said, Z-Power was able to react and turn around and get the op kills he needed. Not only that, but he was able to, even with a T in the site, be able to hold the pillar and get another frag on the B Apartments player, which is like just kind of, salt in the wound, so to speak. And then, again, he knew that DimQQ was out of position, so he knew he couldn't force the plant if he was going to get chased down, so he tried to go for the frags instead. And it just didn't happen. And so that round kind of slips through Crazy's fingers when it seemed like there were chances for them to win. Double op now going to be in play for forZe as well.
Yeah, these double ops have been a consistent theme in this best of 3. Haven't always been particularly successful, especially going back to Train, where honestly, forZe just always looked a little bit iffy. Split's position could be pretty huge, though. It not only has the benefit of being able to watch short, but also connector. A lot of information that he gathers from his teammates. This allows Jerry to sit behind this smoke a little bit longer. There's another smoke behind. So as long as Flit is in there and there's no smokes or flashes to greet him, he's in a great position to take a shot and fall back, to gain information, and then fall back for the rest of his teammates. And with 40 seconds to play with, he's found the info, but more importantly, he's found the headshot. That is huge.
Indeed it is, and Jerry gets to hold the window. They also still have a player watching for the Palace push. That's going to be FaceCrack in great position on the balcony. He's going to be fruitful, maybe even finds another, as DimQQ is still sitting inside Palace as we speak. No, he'll just back off in sight instead. But they've done their damage, and the clock has ticked too far, and CR4ZY will have to just sit back here and save these weapons for the final round of the half. So, brilliant teamwork from forZe there across the board. Going to be a flawless victory at that.
I'll talk about fire or bullets. He decides for the bullets, and forZe will move to 7-7. Last round is going to be able to be a decent-ish buy, actually, because of the 2 save guns. But forZe still probably the favorites to take this, considering there are 2 AWPs against 0.
Yeah, it's slim pickings for CR4ZY here. Mac 10 and Galil being included in the bunch, and not much utility. Looks like they want to go for some type of quick mid-A split here with the bomb positioned already at A ramp, and they're trying to put that pressure down from top middle, but we can see that forZe are looking to contest it. Z-Power able to find op shots around that smoke, and FaceCrackle assists with the connector push. It's looking very, very grim, Vince. It's only Toxic now at Tetris, and he's been dealt with. forZe finished off the half 3 in a row to have quite the recovery and to take the lead back.
Wait, I mean, Psycho at this point must be like, why nobody helped me? I've got 16 kills. The rest of his teammates have 20 combined. Yeah. Like, he's just balling out of control, and no one's there to lend him a helping hand. Nearest player, he's double.
Yeah, he's definitely that one character off of, was it Friday? In that movie? Like Chris Tucker?
I can't remember.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like Debo walking around. Never mind. I don't know. You never watched this movie?
Nope.
Never mind. That's where the line comes from. The "why ain't no one help me" line. Anyway.
Well, those grenades are too deep. Doesn't really affect them, but the bullets definitely will. CR4ZY have Toxic, who's there, but he's going to go down. Psycho does at least take a kill alongside it, so it's a 3v3 at range. Sensei is spraying wildly with the USP, and everything was off. So that's a kill that now goes across the FaceCrack, and it's looking like they're going to be able to clean this one up. It's labored. Sergey's tagged down to 54, and now Jerry just has to peek wide. Headshot forthcoming, and forZe 9-7 lead.
That's a way to kick off a half. When you're wanting to hold off your opponent. Again, having a great end to the first half. Now you come out with the pistol here. It's exactly what they needed. Exactly what the doctor ordered, so to speak. Deco's going to come out from CR4ZY in response.
All the digs. All the investment as well.
But yeah, man, you gotta learn about that. You gotta watch it. The movie.
All right, down.
That's where the line came from. Chris Tucker and Ice Cube.
Almeida straight out. Intentions very clear. He wants to get up close with this SMG, as do the 2 Mac-10s. Bomb plant already, and CR4ZY may just want to rinse and repeat. This may be a case of trying to get all 10 players to come out of this round alive. forZe don't want to allow that to come to fruition. They have 3 expendable players with these SMGs, one of which is Almeida, and he does find himself Toxic out on the CT spawn. So at least one player that's going to have to rebuy or just sit the next round out, investment-wise.
Mm-hmm. By the way, just to give everyone kind of an update on what's going on here on the main stream, the winner of this game is actually supposed to play the very next game that's going to be on the main stream, which is, I believe, against Gambit Youngsters. That is the team that has moved on from the other side. So with that said, there will be a bit of an extended break to give the winning team a bit of a rest before they go on to play against Gambit youngsters. So I did just want to kind of prepare people for that, which, I mean, it's understandable to give the teams a bit of a break before having to play another best of 3. And hey, we'll take a little bit of a break too as casters, man. You know, get a little food, chill out.
Rest the old vocal cords.
Mm-hmm.
I need some warm drinks, dude, because my voice is struggling. I'm not gonna lie. We still have 2 more best of 3, but I'm loving it. Face Crack is loving it. He is going straight in your brain. I hear that. Z Power through the smoke, hopping up and down, bunnies his way to another kill. And it is the Mac-10s that are doing all the work and keeping 4 SMGs alive. If they choose to pick these up in the next round, well, Sensei is not going to allow at least Z-Power to do that, so it's going to be 1 replenished gun, but they can go for a really aggressive play if they can keep the bulk of these SMGs going through into round 19. You can just get up close and personal, just get really aggro. And as Flip goes in with his Glock, running out of ammunition, Toxic may have Almazer once this smoke clears. Will have Almazer, but instead of it being the AK, it's just the MP5, and again, forZe are fine with this. As long as they keep the AK alive and as long as they can clean up the rest of the players here with the Mac-10s, this is completely fine.
Oh, yeah. Farming all that money is Flit with the Mac-10. Not going to go for the bonus round. How much will they get out of it, though, is going to be the real question. forZe have collectively won the last 6 rounds in a row between the end of the second half and kicking this one off with a 3-0 start. Looking to try to keep the good times rolling. They'd love to go ahead and get this thing over with and be able to get some rest before having to play Gambit youngsters for the first seed.
We'll place Molotov from DemQQ, funnels all of the T's out into the open, and actually Jerry burns to his own molly. Do we count that as a 1?
I didn't see it, but usually if you've died to your own Molotov, it's a 1G, yes.
Chat, you have my permission. You can actually spam 1G this time. It is actually an apt description of what just happened. It's a 3v3 though. This round's not done just yet. Keep in mind, effectively a bonus round with 2 Mac-10s and now 4s starting to shift through the gears. They're going to take the player advantage. Sensei and Psycho. 2 players remaining. Economy in the toilet. Crazy, have to say. 4s will have a 12-7 lead.
Although I still don't know if it's fair to call it a 1G. I feel like you have to run through your own fire and it causes you to lose the round. That's a 1G.
True.
But I guess you wouldn't see that happen so often, so I guess you have to be a little bit more liberal with how you define it in order to have it actually get used. I don't know. It's not like we ever have any control over what chat does anyway, so to each their own.
They can buy behind this. It won't be great, though. But they are running out of time. So they may feel compelled to go. Hence the timeout, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that's an understandable thought process. Like, you know, you're not quite running out of rounds yet, but you got to think it through. You know, if you don't buy here, forZe goes to 13, you really only get like maybe 1 more good buy. So going for the buy here makes total sense. Obviously, if forZe win, they basically get a free 14th round, but then if you're crazy, you're still able to at least buy a contestant when they go for a map and series point. So I definitely like the buying schedule here that Crazy have selected, and it's actually still a pretty good buy, as you said. They have plenty of utility. The only thing that stinks is that Sergey has to use a FAMAS, but I mean, it's at least a better weapon than it used to be. It was buffed, several months ago, I believe now. So it still definitely can have some potency to it. Definitely can still split some wigs with the FAMAS.
Yeah, I think FAMAS and Galil both got buffed into a pretty nice place, actually. I think they're situational guns. Before, I think, honestly, people, one point you'd probably pick up an SMG instead. At one stage, you'd actually just pick up a 5.7 or a CZ instead. Yeah. It was just as good. And now the FAMAS has found like a nice little niche position, I would say, for situations just like this.
It's situations where you just want to get utility but still have a rifle. And still have a viable rifle that can actually do you something instead of just being absolutely worthless like the FAMAS seemed like it was before. So, yeah, I agree. Wholeheartedly.
So I think we may have some tech issues on top of that tactical timeout, unfortunately.
No.
I've had to go and drop that because this pause is lasting a bit too long to be a tactical. Don't know what the reason is. Ping and then
pause because he just likes to hear his own voice. I've heard, so he
correct
pauses the game so he can continue to talk. Just
you guys should know that the casters always control how a tournament runs, right? So if there's delays, it's the caster's fault always, 100%.
It's actually always Kyle's fault. That's what I heard. It's all Kyle. He was yelling about something about Dota 2 or something, and in his fit of rage, tripped over a cable.
He's just enjoying his stay so much. He wanted to make the day last as long as possible.
Oh, yeah. He was like, oh, we got this pair of casters that has to cast 4 best-of-3s. Why don't we make sure we play every single map? Oh, okay. Done.
So you heard it here first, guys. Kyle writes the script for all of these games. No
Yes,
capo.
absolutely.
100%. If that were true, I hope he writes in a supporting cast for Psycho because he's still fragging out of his mind and nobody else is lending him a helping hand. He's on 102 ADR. To put it in perspective, the nearest player on his team ADR-wise is Sensei with 50. You have 53, 50, 36, and 32. So everybody is really struggling here on the CT side, and that is reflected in the overall scoreline.
Very true. Which is kind of sad, because when you look at the series as a whole, I mean, we've seen great performances out of several different players from CR4ZY at different points in time. You know, like when you look at Train, where they actually pulled off the upset, DimQQ and Toxic were just absolutely popping off. They were brilliant. On Inferno, which they lost, but was a very close game, you had Sensei, you know, come back alive and play really, really well. And now this map, it's like Psycho's turn to turn it on. But, you know, some of the other guys who were playing well earlier in the series have gone really quiet, which is really unfortunate, because I feel like that is kind of the difference maker right now, because you're basically getting everyone on 4s popping off, with the exception of Almazer, who hasn't really been called upon. Definitely a tough time to start to go quiet. Definitely need to see some of these guys step up.
Sure, it's always an interesting phenomenon with CS where you have a team that's individually very skilled players. And again, coming into this, I didn't know much about CR4ZY. I'll hold my hands up. Obviously, I knew about their last rosters, but not this one. And I've been very impressed with a lot of the players that we've seen, a lot of the kind of ability they've had. We've had some crazy clutches from likes of Sensei. Psycho's obviously had his moments. Toxic has landed some really important kills, and so has DimQQ. But it just is one of those situations where it feels like maybe it's a lack of like teamwork or cohesion or being on the same page, or maybe there's like sort of mental issues that they're going through with anxiety and nerves, but it never seems like every player fires at the same time. As you said, it's always one player firing off, the rest of the players being quite quiet. Maybe that's just the way that they play their CT and T sides here on Mirage, that doesn't really allow their entire team to flourish together. Whereas for forZe, you see it reflected in the kill line, and I'm not necessarily one that believes that stats like kills and deaths paints a full picture of how the game's gone. Absolutely not. But it's just also the way in which they're playing rounds. It feels like they always have a counter fragger. They always have 2 or 3 people backing one another up. It's never a case of one player just left out to dry by themselves. Whereas CR4ZY, that they don't seem to be on the same page all of the time.
Yeah, and I think that really just comes down to being inexperienced, right? I mean, most of these players are like 18 or 19 years old. I think one's 21. Psycho's the oldest at 23. Neither one of them really had much experience outside of this team. Particularly, like, some of their younger players had never really played much Counter-Strike before this team. Maybe have only have official match results on TV only dating back maybe just a few months or a year or so. So it really comes down to just having experience. And obviously a lot of the tournaments they played in have been against smaller name teams. forZe is a whole new class of opponent, basically. So I think that's really what you're seeing here.
Just a little update for you guys as well watching that are curious as to what's going on. Apparently, Sensei is having issues with his ping, currently a bit high. And to be fair, having a look at the scoreboard, he does have nearly 90 ping, whereas everyone else is around 30. So fair enough. Like its ping is fluctuating quite a bit between sort of 90 and 110. Not too sure what the reasons for that are, so hopefully that'll be remedied shortly. We can get back underway again. Yeah, like you don't want to be playing like a professional game when a lot's on the line, potential qualifier spot for the major down the line, and you have 110 ping. Like that is just rough time.
Indeed. Again, just a heads up over here on the main stream, the winner of this will be playing Gambit Youngsters for top seed of the group here in stage 1 of the WePlay Clutch Island, the RMR event for CIS for the summer. Of course, we have plenty of more to go for the Clutch Island, as this is just stage 1, and we still have plenty more to go today. We have 2 more best of 3s. But again, I just want to tell you that whoever does win this, when they do go on to play Gambit Youngsters in the next game here on the main stream, we will have an extended break before that game starts, just to give the winning team a bit of a break. So just wanted to give you that heads up once again.
It's been a bit of a wild one, Dust, honestly. I think we've already had a bunch of upsets and a bunch of turmoil in the games that we've casted. You've had Namiga dropping a map against Moscow 5 Academy. We've had, obviously, forZe here dropping a map and potentially losing this match, though it's looking like things have somewhat stabilized for them. Our first best of 3 of the day, there were a lot of twists and turns there. It's been one hell of a day for Counter-Strike, there's no doubt in it.
Yep. We've seen everything, Vince. We've seen overtimes. We've seen, all 30 rounds. We've seen Zeus kills. We've seen knife kills. We've seen dying in your own fire. We've seen cratering, I think. Yeah, I think someone.
Yeah, we did on train. Yep.
We've seen every type of tech issue possible. TeamSpeak, ping, mouse.
What we haven't seen is the 2-0, or we haven't seen the 16-0 either. That's about it. Really.
I'd love to see some of those. Help us out. We are your casters. We are here. We still have 2 more best of 3s to cast. We love Counter-Strike, but we also love to live. we don't want to burn out in the first day. We still have 2 more days to go, man. I've been up since 2 a.m.
Yeah, this was a proper early start for you because you're what?
Dude, I got wrecked.
Hours behind me, right?
Yeah. So the first game started at 2 a.m. for me.
Absolutely wrecked.
I've absolutely done myself in on that one. But to be fair, like, it's not to gripe. It is just the fact that we have in a marathon, right? But it has been fun. That I will say that. Like, the games we had in the first series, while at times it wasn't like the most tactical CS and sometimes it was kind of a bit sloppy and scrappy, it was fun. You had a lot of cool moments, a lot of big individual plays, a lot of tense rounds. The fact that it went the distance so often added that extra drama to it, so it definitely made it interesting and fun. And the same could be said for this, right? The fact that CR4ZY pulled the upset off on Train, the fact that we were seeing some new, like, young Ukrainian players here over at CR4ZY actually turn out to have, like, really cool mechanical skill and be able to play an effective aggressive style at times, but also at times I've seen them be able to play defaults out properly. It just goes to show that there's just, like, so much talent in the CIS region. Like, there's so many individually skilled players. Like, you look at a team like forZe, where you have guys like Z-Power, Flit, who have really built up a reputation as being individually talented. Same with Almazer. You got, like, guys like IDisbounce and some Dayung over at Spirit. You got, some of the guys spread out across some of the other teams as well, like Shiro at Gambit Youngsters, Axile also on that team. And now you're seeing some of these guys on CR4ZY, at different points throughout the series have looked really impressive. Some of them are having a little bit of a struggle now here on Mirage. That's true. But they've also had their bright moments throughout the series. And so, yeah, it's just there's a lot of individual talent swelling in the CIS region right now. No doubt about it. Not to mention all the guys that are still playing over at Virtus Pro. Definitely some talented players over on that team. And the list goes on and on, really.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I've done a lot of CIS kind of minor qualifiers and the minors as well a few times in the past, and invariably the CIS region always surprises me for how deep the pool is. It's not always the most strategical gameplay. I don't think it's necessarily a stereotype. Like, a lot of the lower end sort of CIS games do devolve into basically aim duels and aim battles and a bit of a mix mash of strats. We have seen some strats kind of thrown in here as well in these games. Obviously, fours are expecting it, but the same on Crazy as well. But what's really impressed me the most about Crazy is just how good these guys are when it comes to their aim duels. Like, I've been absolutely blown away by some of the shots I've seen from Sensei in particular. Like, his AWPing at times has just been absolutely ridiculous. I do have good news as well, though, guys. We're ready to get underway again. Now, I will say that Sensei also still has the high ping. I think they've just realized that there's no fix for it. Like, it's either his routing or his internet is just gone down the drain. So he's just going to play through this. So keep that in mind if he doesn't perform.
Indeed, we are underway here in round number 20. That's Crazy. Are trying to hold all fours as best they can, and indeed they've been able to crack off a couple of kills to try to get themselves back in striking distance of this game. Flit, though, has responded with one of his own and kept it still somewhat winnable. It's a 3-on-4, though. It's going to be tough, especially because they have no map presence anywhere else other than Cat and B apartments. And again, their numbers are limited now. It's going to take a mistake from Crazy to give fours away back in the round, or just some type of brilliant individual effort. Flit having ladder control does give them some options, though. They could still even try to split the A bomb site. That is also an option. I think the big problem with that is, though, is Sergey's positioning, which could really catch Almazer off guard.
Yeah, it could, especially as Almazer is actually pretty low. So a headshot from the FAMAS at this range will just straight up neutralize him. So he's going to go for that peek, and the spray is a bit rough on both members, but Almazer is lower, and he has been found and killed. And with no second player forthcoming, that is going to give the CTs an idea of what to expect. To make matters worse, MQQ has neutralized Flit's aggressive play through ladder, which has left it all on Z Power. We saw Sergey pull off a lovely clutch in a 1v2 from this very position, but this is going to be going 2 players further. He does have the bomb. He's waiting for that first player to show his hand through those CT boxes. If he can take down Sensei, then maybe he'll just try and rummage together a play on B. But additionally, I think he's thinking of just saving on the CT side as well. It's not typically going to be an area that you check from the CTs. You're probably going to run more towards the T-spawn if you want to try and take this weapon away. But there, he misses the shot. He misses a sitter by his own high standards, and he is going to get punished.
Unfortunate. Still plenty of money, though, for forZe to fully buy, so it is unfortunate in one way, but another way it doesn't matter as much because they can replenish just fine. Z-Power will easily be dropped in AWP here if they so choose to have one, unless they just want him to have an AK, but nope, there's the op.
Yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of it would have been more rough for Sensei, because the economy on Crazy's side may not have been able to justify buying a second AWP to replenish that one. So it could have had a bit of an impact that way, but either way you spin it, he hasn't lost the AWP. They go into round 21 with both teams in a solid position, financially speaking, with their arsenal of weaponry. And it's a really mix-mash approach from forZe. They're taking systematic control across the map, but there's no necessary sort of pincered-in movements coming into play. They're not looking to force their way onto either side for the time being. That's definitely going to help, though. Flit jumping up in the window and neutralizing Psycho.
It's the first time that's been used all game long, which is kind of wild because Window's definitely a very useful location to have control of on the T side, and we haven't really seen it put to use, which I think has just caught Crazy way off guard. And now it's going to cause forZe to start collapsing in on this A bomb site. There is one player towards the back of the site. There is some reinforcements with Sensei's AWP as well, but it's just not going to strike. Sensei only good for 1 kill. Sergey goes out for free, and now it is going to be a 4-on-2 close plan scenario in favor of forZe. DimQQ does find Flit finally over towards Windows side, but still a really tough ass to retake here. They know that one's in CT spawn. It's going to be toxic, and he gets the frag, and all of a sudden it gets winnable, Vince.
Certainly winnable. Whether it's likely, another question entirely, because now forZe can turtle their way in and try and tunnel into this 2v2 post plant. They don't need to be charging out anymore. They don't need to be into very dodgy positions. Instead, just focus on the objective at hand. Z-Power is going to dry peek the first time, lands the shot, but there's not going to be enough time on the clock. And forZe have successfully got it done. It's at the cost of all 5 players, though. So in terms of their finances, won't be great after this round, but they can afford a buy.
Yeah, they can still get the op on Z-Power, still get the AKs and armor and utility, so they're still okay. The thing is, if Crazy can come back and win this round, that's whenever forZe could be in some trouble economically, and that could allow Crazy to maybe close the gap a little bit. Problem is, Crazy's economy is also now low after this full buy, and Sergey had to get an MP9. So if you lose this, forZe are basically either going to get map point almost for free, or if you're Crazy, you're forced buying the rest of the game. And that's a really grim position to be in, especially on the CT side. So this round is really important swing rounds to determine whether or not Crazy's comeback effort has really any real kind of momentum behind it, or whether or not forZe just goes ahead and closes us out. Again, Gambit Youngsters waiting for the victor of this in the next series here on this stream after an extended break that we'll have. Timeout is over, and we will now roll into round number 22.
Mai coming in for Crazy. Not ideal, really, all things considered, but enough to make work, enough to make sing potentially. But if they do lose this round, then forZe on the brink, on the precipice of taking this 2-1 and moving toward that next matchup against Gambit Youngsters. Flashbangs out, FaceCrack taking the initiative, going aggressively. Will murder Sensei through the boxes, and there's a second kill behind it. Slight gap in the smoke may afford Psycho the luxury of spraying up through there. Does a lot of damage to Almeza, but doesn't finish him off outright. Somehow survives through the myriad of bullets traversing through the smoke. Alive? I have no idea, Dust, to be honest. I was sure he would die. Somehow alive on 2 HP.
That is unbelievable, man. He should have died like 6 different times that round, but he's still standing. And that's going to be a 14th round for forZe, and Crazy realizing that they need to sit back with these weapons to make sure they have something to work with in the next round. But FaceCrack is going on the hunt. He's already found one. That's all he'll get, though. Still some time, though, for the rest of forZe to collapse in and perhaps find another one of these CTs. But it seems like they will be just fine to carry over these 2 rifles, and they can buy around it. Again, they're kind of in that force buy or die situation. And they will take some extra time to talk about it. I think there's no question they're going to buy around these 2 rifles. I think it's just about figuring out exactly what they want to buy around them. And if they want to make some type of set play. Like, do they want to go for a palace push? Do they want to go for an underpass push? Do they want to do anything aggressive at all, for that matter? Playing standard, they've been kind of just caught a few times that way, so I'm not sure if maybe they have some type of idea, something they want to go for. Sensei, unfortunately, only able to get a scout. Doesn't really have a spawn for anything either. So, I'm not really sure what they're going to put together.
Yeah, that Mac 10 is an interesting pickup for forZe. That would suggest that we are going to see some aggression here. The FaceCrack's going to lead the charge, and they're going to just be pushing aggro out onto A, which could be a very good counter to after a timeout. Expecting a set player, expecting something aggressive. So take the initiative.
Why you wouldn't buy Galil? Does he misread the economy and think that there's not head armor out there? I mean, I don't know.
Some aggression, maybe, just so he can hold W and just get into the face of the CTs. And so far, that's exactly what he's doing. It's paid out in spades. First kill goes his way. Will FaceCrack push the second smoke? No. He's perched up into an aggressive position. He may get finished off from that grenade. Not quite. Only tags him for 1. I thought he would be a goner. And now he's going to push back in again. It's Sensei. Misses his shot. Comes back out with the Mac 10. Significant damage has been inflicted, and they've taken CT side completely by storm. Toxic lines them up, and he spirals FaceCrack out in midair, but Flick comes back with 2. That's why they picked up the Mac 10 for that hyper-aggressive play, and it's worked so well for forZe.
Yeah, we'll just kind of explode through the smoke at Palace and really close distance to the site. And even get into CT spawn. So, definitely did his job. So it's going to be map and series point for forZe. M4 saved by Psycho. There is still some money to buy around it. Again, they've been at max loss bonus, or pretty close to it, so they'll get what they can. It won't include an op still for Sensei, though.
Seven chances, 7 cracks at getting this done. Are there going to be any vulnerabilities, any extremities that can be dealt with from forZe on their aggression?
Yeah, forZe just known for that, being that team that likes to do those aggressive splits on this map, and they've been really laying into the A-bomb site here lately, and it looks like they're going to be doing it yet again, and there's really no one defending except for Sergey stuck under the balcony. He's getting some support, though. Psycho pushes in the sandwich.
Psycho, good position to get maybe more than one. There's mollies all around him, plus flashbangs on top of it. 3 play 4 as the T's have the advantage, but can they drive this advantage home? They're looking to plunder, to pillage the site and raise it to the ground for one final time on Mirage, for one final time in this best of 3. And Z-Power at range, completely destroying Dem QQ. Sensei, in the meanwhile, though, does counteract, does bounce back, but now Toxic's been spotted, he's been flicked on, and forZe pull off the comeback. They were leading for the majority of Mirage, but they were losing after the first map of this best of 3, but they've got it done, Dust.